OpenAI just announced some pretty big stuff. They've announced ChatGPT-4 Turbo. And Nick and I, my business partner, we're going to be talking a little bit about this to give you some updates as to what's going on and what does that mean and how is that going to help you. So I'm just waiting for Nick, and admittedly, don't really know how to use this live very well. So I'm sure there's probably a way. Oh, yeah, there is a way I can invite him. So let me try that for a moment, if you can bear with me. Welcome. I see we've got several people here. So, yeah, the reason for this live is to talk a little bit about ChatGPT-4 Turbo. They have, thanks, Chris. Appreciate the words of encouragement. So OpenAI has announced some upgrades to ChatGPT, and I'll share a couple right now that I know of for sure. First is that all of the, if you have ChatGPT-4, you probably know there are things like browsing, web browsing, right? There's the code interpreter feature, which I never remember the new name they gave it, but that code interpreter feature is where you can upload things to it, like say a spreadsheet, and have it analyze data. It's got the new Dolly 3 extension added to it. All of these different add-ons that we're paying for as Plus users, all of them are going to be integrated together in one chat. So essentially, you don't have to check off which thing you want to use. It's all going to be together in one spot. So that'll make life a lot easier. And that's just the beginning, right? So let me see here. Let me invite Nick. Let me see if this works. This is what I always watch when I see people doing lives. They're always like, okay, I think I invited. Are they there? Oh yeah, here they are. And sure enough, there's Nick. So hello, Nick. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. And I can see
Weird.
and hear you.
Okay. Well, anyway, I
I
could
think
see you just a second ago, so I don't know what's going on, but we're here.
Okay, cool. Well, I know you were paying close attention to the OpenAI announcement about GPT-4 Turbo, and I was as well, but I was also on a call, so I couldn't quite focus. So I'm glad that we're doing this together so you can help share some of this stuff. And I'll share right out of the gate. I think my favorite part of the whole thing was watching OpenAI talk about things and people at Microsoft with this big old Apple laptop sitting right next to them. I just found it amusing to see them with an Apple product when they were doing a lot of talking about Microsoft. They even had somebody from Microsoft there. I thought it was a little awkward.
Yeah, that I enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing the CEO of Microsoft on stage next to an Apple computer while they were doing all this stuff talking about their partnership.
Yeah.
That was pretty humorous.
Yeah, it was. It was. So, Nick, what would you say is your favorite part as far as this announcement with its GPT-4 Turbo? And actually, I'm
Yes.
going to ask you a different question. Do you know, is it going to cost more to get Turbo if you're already a GPT-4 Plus user?
It doesn't sound like it, and in most cases, it actually sounds like it got cheaper. That was one of the things they went through six different items, and then price was like a bonus aspect of all this. And really, this whole DevDay thing was geared towards developers, so there was a lot of that. But then they announced some ChatGPT specific stuff. The pricing on everything seemed to go down, and in most cases, it went down like three times for every every model as these developers are using it. So I don't think it's going to get any more expensive for like the normal average ChatGPT plus user. We're just going to get way cooler functions.
Yeah. And what a change of pace, because, when you think about some of these conferences and these announcements with new products and services, it comes with a price tag. It's usually an increase in price. And this is actually in some cases a decrease, which is pretty cool. And why don't we dig in first to some of the actual GPT-4 Turbo stuff as far as some of those features. I was talking about the fact that all the features we're aware of now are all going to be integrated together. So you don't have to select which thing you want to use, which I know for me personally, it's one of the things I'm most excited about because it can get a little annoying and frustrating to have to open up a new chat just to get a specific function. So is it what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so that's going to be huge. Like you said, as you're having the conversation, like ChatGPT is holding context of that conversation, and then if you want to switch tasks, you basically have to break and cut off that conversation. And now ChatGPT essentially lost all context, so it's going to be nice that it'll all be rolled into one chat.
Yeah.
I think the way it sounded like they're eliminating even the options, so you won't even be able to select like Microsoft, like browse with Bing or DALL-E 3 or advanced data analysis. Is literally just going to be like one chat like it used to be, only it'll know like, okay, they're wanting me to generate an image or it's wanting me to analyze this document that you uploaded. So it's going to be a lot easier there. Um, on top of that, it sounds like the the context window for ChatGPT is also increasing like pretty significantly. And Sam on the presentation mentioned it could handle up to 300 standard pages of context. I don't know what constitutes a page, but essentially they've increased it by a pretty significant amount as to how much context it can handle. Um, that's always been a big draw for Claude, that it can handle a lot more context. So it's kind of cool to see ChatGPT getting that boost as well.
Yeah. So basically, those that copying and pasting of transcripts isn't going to be as big of a deal anymore, or uploading your transcript if it's larger, you can be more confident that it's actually going to read the whole thing and be able to speak to it in more detail. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I already tried running the transcript from that call into ChatGPT and it was too long and it tried running it several times and it ended up just network error
But I
out.
don't
So
think it's upgraded yet,
it's
do
not.
you? Okay.
No, it's not upgraded yet. It's supposed to be. I don't know if because they said it's rolling out today, and how ChatGPT has been kind of rolling out their updates. Usually, like a couple people get it and a couple more. So I would imagine if you don't have it now, over the course of the week, you're probably going to end up getting the update if you're a ChatGPT Plus user. Um, so if you don't have it yet, don't worry. Just
Yeah, I
hold
don't have
tight,
it
be
yet.
patient. It's going to be
Yep.
coming.
I don't have it yet either. All right. So what else, Nick? Let's talk about this, what they're calling GPTs and what that's all about.
So that to me is probably the most exciting part of all of this, and probably why I don't think the price will actually increase with ChatGPT. So GPTs are essentially custom bots that you can build, and they're actually with the rollout of GPTs using or giving users a GPT builder. So you can essentially create your own bot, and this can be a private bot or a public bot that you then sell on a ChatGPT marketplace. And all of these bots will essentially, they're coming out with a GPT store, and you can go browse the different bots that exist, and you can use and implement these bots for whatever tasks you want to use ChatGPT for. Um, this is pretty cool. I was watching Sam like build a bot on screen live, and he was just like ChatGPT having a conversation. Like, I want it to do this. I want to do X, Y, Z. It should be kind of this style, and then alongside of it, you kind of have the preview window where you're able to interact with this bot that is instantly built for you. It's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm envisioning already just for podcasters alone, you could create a GPT chat bot that basically is your podcast so that your audience could interact with your podcast in an artificial intelligence kind of way. So the way you would normally interact with ChatGPT, well, we can now train our own personal ChatGPT bot on your podcast and then be able to talk to it, ask it questions, recall guests, tell us about what that guest said at this particular episode at this particular time, all sorts of things, including things that guests or the podcaster themselves are teaching. You could have it learn from what it's teaching and create some kind of mini course for yourself based on those podcast episodes. There's all sorts of things you could do with it.
Yeah, my mind after he announced that, my mind was just spinning. Like I could almost see building your own custom private GPTs for everything that you're doing. Like we're talking podcasting here, like one GPT that handles podcast show notes for you, one GPT that handles social media content for you, one that handles script writing and planning, and you literally have a team of AI bots that can help handle a lot of these tasks that maybe are tedious or just getting the time consuming pieces out of it so that you can focus on the ideas and really bringing that stuff to life.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of, there's also this idea, this feature where I was watching it, and they seem to have integrated tools like Canva and Zapier to ChatGPT in a different way than the plugins. So if anybody's familiar using plugins, this isn't the same thing as the Canva plugin, for example. This is kind of an upgrade, to say the least, right?
It looks like it. I was not impressed. Everyone was kind of going nuts about the Canva plugin on ChatGPT, and I wasn't impressed at all by
Me
it.
neither.
It it kind of felt like, okay, I could go to Canva and I could just type in the search templates, the same thing that I was typing in the ChatGPT and get a very similar design.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. It just felt like it was changing where I was doing it. And the Canva GPT that they kind of briefly demonstrated looked a lot more specific. Like whatever you asked it for, it actually gave you more specific results and like actually design the thing based on what you're asking for, not just giving you kind of like an idea that's like, here, you can use this to create that idea. It's more like you have that idea, here it is created.
Yeah. What was Tell me a little bit about the Zapier demonstration that they did, because that I wasn't quite connecting with.
That one kind of blew my mind. I didn't understand how it worked, but essentially what the the lady that came on and demonstrated it, she was using a Zapier GPT and she asked Zapier to check her schedule or give her like a breakdown of her schedule for the week. And it did that, and the GPT was set to find like where there's overlaps in her schedule, etc. So it pulled her schedule and was like, well, you have an overlap here and here. It's like, okay. And then she went and somehow she was able to send a message. And she asked it to send a message to Sam on stage there that she had to run. She was going to go chase down GPTs or something like that, something goofy. And ChatGPT was like, okay, sent. And then a couple seconds later, Sam's phone dings on screen and he had a message from that lady that all came directly from the chatbot. So she never had to even leave ChatGPT and it just sent it. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the app was. Like maybe it was a Gmail messaging app. I can't imagine it can tap into like your phone's messenger or anything like that, but
Right.
it
You'd
was
have to
still
connect it.
right. It was wildly impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is getting closer and closer, and it might even be here to the fact that we can really automate what ChatGPT is doing for us and have it really conduct multiple steps at the same time. And one of the things that I thought was cool that they demonstrated during that particular demonstration is how it's now more sensitive about sharing your secured information, right? They were talking about the idea that it's going to start reminding you and asking you, like, are you sure you want to share this, publicly, if you will, right?
Mhm.
I thought that was a pretty cool addition and a needed one.
And they talked about that as well with the API, like if you're building your own chatbots and everything like that, um, basically heightening the security and all that stuff so that, like I said, your information already, if you're using those things, isn't being used. I think it was enterprise and the API. That information isn't being used to train the chat GPT or any of
Right.
that stuff. Um, but yeah, they they reiterated safety a lot. They went into that about that's a big concern for them, and even the Microsoft CEO was talking about security and all that. So I mean that's good to see that they're at least talking about it.
Yeah.
Now hopefully we see that,
Yeah.
but
They also had oh, and of course, one of the big things that has always been the knock of ChatGPT is the fact that it's only as smart as September of 2021. In other words, it was only giving out data that expired after September 2021. So now they're saying it's going to be April 2023. So now, for example, like making this simple to understand, if you were to ask it who won the 2022 Super Bowl, it's going to be able to give you the answer. It's got that data, whereas prior to this announcement, it wouldn't have been able to do that because it only had the 2021 Super Bowl as the last piece of information as far as time goes. Yeah. So I think that was pretty that's been a known thing, and they also promised that it will be even better as time goes by, and they're really working to keep it as current as possible.
Yeah, that it sounded like we'll see a lot more updates than what we've been getting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Sorry,
see Paula. What does Paula mean by "is this happening"?
I think she means live.
I
Are
guess
we actually going live?
so.
It's super
Yeah, we
bright
got.
in here.
Oh yeah, Nick's
Sorry.
just trying to be cool now.
Yeah,
I got it.
got the shades. Um, One of the other things I thought was really cool, and they briefly touched on it. They didn't go too deep into it, but there was a copyright. Can't remember what they called it, like copyright backed. Like obviously, a big concern with these AI tools is that copyright would be an issue, copyright infringement. And I think this was more geared towards people that are using API um, for ChatGPT. But basically, if there are any copyright claims brought up against you for using ChatGPT or OpenAI's model, that they will protect you essentially. Like they will help fight the battle for you. So they seem pretty darn confident that what they're doing isn't copyright infringement or the models
Yeah.
that they're trained on, how they're releasing it. So that I thought that was really interesting. That's a pretty big move.
Yeah, it is. It's a bold statement, a bold claim to make, and I'm curious how that will all unfold. Because
Yeah,
sure we'll hear more and more cases where people are going to be accused of copyright infringement, and I'd love to see how that's all handled.
yeah. No, that's a big one.
Yeah. So, any other any other features that you're looking forward to?
I was just looking at my notes, seeing what else. Um, I think we hit on the big ones, man. Uh, Obviously, ChatGPT itself just getting the upgrade, and then I think the GPTs are probably some of the coolest new features coming. And it sounds like this DevDay thing is going to be a yearly deal. Sam kind of teased some even bigger things coming. He said next year DevDay is going to basically put this one to shame. So I'm pretty pumped to see what they come up with in the next couple months and year.
So, is that what it is? They're saying this will be a yearly thing as of now?
Yep, yep. Their plan is to make it a yearly event that they put on.
It's really interesting to me that they announced this update as GPT-4 Turbo as opposed to 5, right? So what do you think? I mean, and this is just us speculating here, right? Because what do you think then that means for 5? Like this feels like worthy of a full number upgrade, right? So I'm curious why they only went Turbo instead of a full upgrade.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you would think the introduction of like the GPTs, like there's added functionality. It's not just improving upon the functionality that's already there. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect going forward. Like it just seems like everything is moving so fast. Like from where we were a year ago to now is mind blowing. So I can't imagine with where we're at now in the technology what it's going to look like a year from now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be completely different. We're going to be having a completely different conversation right now.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Think about some of these changes. Because look, most of us were introduced to ChatGPT this month last year, right? And now look at things like we didn't even have the ability to create any kind of video, right? Now we can do text to video and it looked pretty good. I mean, there are certainly still areas for improvement, but the fact that now we are able to just type in the type of video we want to see, like you worked with our friend Alex, who's part of the Next Gen podcaster community. You worked with him on a test video where you did a whole CPR instructional video, and all you had to do was tell it to make one, and it made it, right?
Yeah, It that was in video AI, and literally all we did was say, give us a 60-second step-by-step process for performing CPR, and it wrote the script for it. It got footage for it, and the footage all made sense for the video. And then it even did the voiceover and everything for you. So you literally didn't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Just put in a sentence, and it generated an entire 60-second video for you. And we could have
yeah,
gone longer, but we did a minute just for testing
right.
purposes. But yeah,
It's pretty
yeah, it's
awesome.
pretty crazy.
It's pretty awesome. So, and the point of sharing that isn't to say, hey, everybody, you can just make your videos and not have to think about it, because we don't want to encourage that. We want you to use those things as places to start. But we're sharing this to show you, to demonstrate how far this technology has come in such a short period of time. And then when we're thinking about this time next year, I mean, I can't even fathom at the moment what we'll be playing with this time next year.
Yeah, I'm not even going to begin to pretend like I haven't have a single clue.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Cool. All right. Well, we just felt compelled to jump on here and share the news because it did just break, and this is some really exciting stuff. So I'll say this, if you'd like to learn more about it, we'd love to have you be a part of our community at nextgenpodcaster.com. We're going to be sharing this kind of stuff as it breaks, and we're going to be giving our insights and opinions about this stuff as they happen. And we're going to continue to show you how to take advantage of technology like this to help streamline your process and ultimately even monetize what you're doing with your content, with your podcast, etc. So yeah, check out Next Gen Podcast. They're completely free to join us for a month, and no obligations, no credit cards. Just sign up and join us, see if you like it, and stay if you do. So yeah, that's all we got for now anyway.
Yeah, that said it all.
All right, cool.
See you
Cool.
guys.
Well, thanks, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man.
See ya.